This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. I made several videos of this area, and when I make these videos, I like to do more than just show pretty pictures. I like to talk to people and find out about the stories about the place and about their stories. We are in a community called Moab, Utah, and it's at the junction of the Colorado River and the Green River that comes from the north. And these rivers flow together as the Colorado River all the way to the Sea of Cortez, or as the Americans say, the Gulf of California. But we're back here in Moab, and the white line represents a whole series of picturesque, unique national parks carved out by the Colorado River. And we are in the more northern end area at Moab. In this video, we will look at 5 things beyond the immediate community of Moab itself and into the countryside. We'll look at the Slickrock area, famous for cycling and quadding. We'll take a drive into the La Salle Mountains. We'll look at historic uranium mining in the area and current potash mining going on today. And finally, we will take a boat ride on the Colorado River. We are coming into Moab from the 191 from the north. Look at that nice bike trail there. One more bend and we'll be in town. This is coming into Moab from the east, the other direction. Also another nice bike trail. And we're about 1 kilometer or 2 out of Moab. Just another bend or 2 in the highway. There you can see the bike trail. There goes the trail over the Colorado River, over the footbridge. We are in the downtown Main Street, Moab, Utah. Moab initially got its reputation as a tourist destination in mountain biking. There are some nice, level, easy trails like this one in and around town, but there are some challenging ones too. A popular area is called a Slickrock, where loose sand and gravel on the rocks create a sticky or slippery condition, causing a hazard for early travelers and a challenge for bikers today. This is more of the Slickrock landscape that are a cyclist challenge and delight. There they go. There is no shortage for bikes to rent or quads either. Civic government seems enlightened here. These quads run all over town and all over the countryside. This is the same Slickrock area that the bicycles go on. People unload their units, bikes or quads, and hit the road. There's more to see than just the town of Moab itself. If you're here long enough, you'll find and discover some of the loop roads. Right now, we're on about a 40-mile loop road. I don't know where it's going. It's awfully steep, and it crawls up into the mountains. I just know it's a loop road, so we should get back to the main highway sooner or later. We drove out of Moab along the Colorado River on Highway 128. There are several government campsites along the river, but they are small and often filled. Found this old burned-out bridge that crossed the river, creating considerable inconvenience and hardship at that time. This is the loop road that we took. We started out of Moab and took Highway 128. Highway 128 joins the interstate and goes north to the I-17 and then east to Denver. We took this 70-kilometer loop road over to the La Salle Mountains. There's a small community right in here called Castle Valley. The countryside was quite wide open initially, but we got into a little more mountain kind of country like this stuff here. But it was a nice paved road. Easy to drive. This is in the Castle Valley area. A little bit of Farming went on here, a little bit of irrigation, but we got more into mountain country, more rocks, more cliffs. The colors were spectacular, I thought, and we were gaining altitude. The road was fine, but I don't think you would enjoy driving it in the wintertime. We'll just follow this car. You can see where it's a 2-lane highway, but there are curves and twists in it as you gain elevation up into the La Salle Mountains. The car should be coming out of that patch of willows, making another turn. Nobody was going very fast. I was a little bit ahead of this car, and stopped to take a picture of the panorama and watch this car crawling its way up into the higher elevations. There you can see some snow in the background on that far mountain. La Salle Mountains, or as some say La Salle, are the second highest in Utah, and because much of the land around them is flat, they can be seen for long distances, and they were a major landmark on the old Spanish Trail. We were seeing La Salle Mountains from the north, from the Moab side. Now, the mountains originally, centuries ago, were named by the Spanish, who had a trail established between their capital here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and the Pacific coast, the San Francisco and Los Angeles areas. There were really two old Spanish trail routes. One was directly along Interstate 70 today, but it was drier and hotter and more miserable. So a lot of the early trails, transportation trail by the Spanish swung north on the south side of La Salle Mountains. When the Spanish saw the white tops of the mountains in the distance, like on the top of the right part of this photo, they assumed that the white was salt. They had no idea it was snow, and therefore they named the mountains the Salt Mountains, La Salle Mountains. As we drive along the Colorado River, I can tell you that the Moab area has had two major mining operations over the years. There was a boom during World War II in the uranium development that brought potential for mining into the public awareness domain. Moab was called the uranium capital of the world after a mining rush following World War II, but declining prices and failure to find large rich deposits brought the local area into decline. During the mine operation, they stockpiled the contaminated ore in a large area adjacent to the Colorado River. And years later, they discovered that the river had been contaminated. Who was going to clean it up? The private company, uranium company, had long since declared bankruptcy, leaving the bill to be paid by the taxpayer. And it's been going on for close to 15 years. And they've hauled the contaminated ore to an underground site about 50 kilometers to the north. But some estimates is that the total bill will reach $1 billion. The second mining development down here was potash. Over 90% of the world's potash is used for fertilizer, and Canada is by far the largest producer of potash. But it is also used for making soap, glass, synthetic rubber, and explosives. Just out of the Moab is a road called Potash Road, and it leads to an active potash mine. Potash can be mined directly out of tunnels deep in the ground, or it can be retrieved through a water-soluble method, which is the method used in the potash mine here. They went to this method after 1963, when 18 miners were killed. The survivors were locked in for nearly 20 hours. After that, they went to a water-soluble method. In this diagram of a potash mine, the water from the Colorado River is pumped down deep into the earth to where the potash is located, and it dissolves the potash and forms a kind of a brine. And the brine can then be pumped back up to the surface. They are actually mining salt from an ancient sea. The brine is pumped into shallow evaporation ponds like this one. The sun evaporates the water from the brine-soluble liquid, leaving only about 95% pure potash in the ponds, where it can now be transported to market. This is a photo from high above. These ponds become bright blue due to the chemical added in the ponds to speed up the evaporation process. And the ponds become a kind of a tourist attraction unto themselves. Before leaving Moab, we took a ride on the Colorado River. We descended the stairs onto the boat, and our narrated tour began.
My name is Tasha, and I'm going to be your guide as we work our way upriver.
We crossed under the highway bridge, and we're on our way.
You'll notice a giant boulder there on the right-hand side of the abutment. Used to sit tucked up in the canyon wall up there. Middle of the night, one night, that boulder fell down, hitting the guard shack and bouncing into the river. It is the only recorded death from a rockfall that we have here in the Moab area.
The view of the cliffs from the river was a different perspective. All kinds of rock shapes.
So it's kind of an old man with this little tuft of hair. We say it looks a lot like my grandpa without his teeth.
After nightfall, a truck on the highway shone a powerful beam on the cliffs. On the right, you can see the laser light our guide used to point out things on those cliffs. This was an area where rocks had avalanched off the cliff.
This particular place is a great spot to show you how erosion works, because if you look down below, there's a giant boulder. The left-hand side of that boulder is the exact same shape as this little cutout right here. So this spot where the water seeps out caused this giant boulder to just slide off the canyon wall. That's how our erosion works around here. So that's pretty cool. That boulder is so big you could walk behind it.
Again, the night perspective was quite different than what we had seen in the daytime. And it was pitch black when we got back to the landing dock. We finally found our motorhome in the parking lot. But it's dark here, and I hate to get back to a campground late at night like this. However, you run into this once in a while. If you get a chance, take a look at those other videos we made on the national parks of the area around here. Until then, hit the subscribe button. That'll tell you when we're putting more videos on the internet. So long for now. We're rolling.